Coming up next, it is your QEH Pulse Radio Show, brought to you with the compliments of MedSafe Medical Supplies Limited.
For all your medical supply needs, visit MedSafe Medical Supplies Limited. We offer a wide range of products including wheelchairs, walkers, canes, crutches, blood pressure machines, stethoscopes, and so much more. Conveniently located on Gemmett's Lane, just a 2-minute walk from the Queen Elizabeth Hospital. And for your convenience, we deliver free to the QEH. Open Monday to Saturday, 8:30 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Call us at 624-7542. MedSafe Medical Supplies Limited, your trusted source for medical essentials.
A pleasant good morning and Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays to all of our listeners as we get into what is the final edition of Season 2 of the Pulse Radio Show. I'm your host, Shane Sealy. Always good to be in your company on a Monday morning, especially during this time of year. We're really hoping that while you enjoy all of the goodies of the season, all the food, the ham, the great cake, that you're also being responsible as far as your health is concerned, because we want you to do better in 2025. But you got to pay a special attention to a number of things, especially those of you who are patients at the Queen Elizabeth Hospital. We know that when you are discharged, when you go home, your doctor gives you a regime that you must follow. Please pay attention to doing just that. Following your medication, your prescription, you take your medication, do what you're supposed to do, drink water, be hydrated. Exercise is always good. You can never go wrong with exercise. Those of you who can, and those of you who cannot, of course, just follow the medical advice given to you by your physician and try to do better for the remainder of the season, especially during this Christmas period. We want you to be good and be healthy going into 2025. We've spent this season here on the Pulse Radio Show focusing on the new direction for our hospital, led by our Chief Executive Officer, Neil Clark, who is here with us this morning. Good morning, Neil. How are you doing?
Good morning, Shane, and a happy, healthy Christmas to all the listeners.
Indeed. The CEO has been busy working on this strategy with the team, with the executive team, the executive directors. We all know what we have to do to try to enhance the services at the Queen Elizabeth Hospital. We've been doing a lot of educating during this period, during the last 11 weeks. And now it's to get into that, the doing phase of things, the enhance, and things have been done already. But in earnest in 2025, I know the CEO, he's a man of action. He wants to see action rather than all of the words. The words, as he says, they are just the strategy, but it's now a chance for us to really implement. So we'll take a look back at the strategy. We have a number of other notices for you as well about medication delivery during this time of year. We've extended our hours, so listen out for the updates on medication delivery, and also the blood bank, very important for us, the National Blood Bank, which is we are charged with operationalizing. We have shifted the location to the 6th Avenue Belleville, so you would know the QEH Annex. We had a number of our other services there, so now the blood bank is being housed there, and we always send out those appeals, especially at this time of year, to give that gift of life. Please go and donate blood to our blood bank so that we can keep our supplies, our supply levels good, and that we can conduct our other services. So please, I know that there are regular donors, but if you're considering it, I'll give you those contact numbers so you can find out how you can do just that. Donate to help someone in need, especially at this time of year. So we will be sharing these bits of information so that you will know how to operate right here on the Pulse Radio Show. But let's go into the 2025 to 2028 strategy. We'll be changing the outlook and going in a new direction at the Queen Elizabeth Hospital over the next 3 years, CEO.
Absolutely. And just before we do that, donating blood is an excellent Christmas present to give to somebody. So please do step forward and donate blood to the blood bank. But the recap, so let's go back over what we've been doing. So you'll recall that we developed a governance framework, and that says how we operate, how we make decisions, and the accountability framework for the Queen Elizabeth Hospital. We then developed the balanced scorecard, and that tells us how are we doing, and it focuses on 5 domains: service delivery, which includes safety, effectiveness, caring, responsive, well-led, infrastructure and equipment, workforce, finance, and ICT. The next thing then was to develop the strategy. Using those same domains I just mentioned, what do we need to do next? What's missing and what do we need to improve? And we started that by sitting down with the directors, looking at previous documents, seeing how far we got with delivering some of the plans that had previously been identified. We looked at staff surveys and patient surveys. We looked at the balanced scorecard, which says how are we doing now? And then of course we checked via consultation with our staff at the Queen Elizabeth Hospital, with the Ministry of Health and Wellness, and of course with the public. And we had our successful public consultation just a few weeks back.
Yeah. Public town hall, we hosted that a couple Wednesdays ago. It was very well attended. We were happy to see a number of people coming out and sharing their, not only their concerns, but giving us suggestions as to how we can improve or what we can do to enhance the strategy. I remember one of the mentions was about parking, the parking situation at the hospital. We got that. We had that raised as well internally. And I know that going forward, CEO, we will be looking at that holistically to see how we can improve parking for those visitors coming to the hospital as well.
Absolutely, and that's the whole point of the consultation. Let's hear what people say, let's hear what their priorities are, and car parking was a priority for both staff and for the public. That wasn't in our original strategy, but following the consultation it is now going into the strategy. And what we will have to do is we'll have to have a review of what the options are for car parking and how can we take that forward. And I guess we'll probably come out with a number of options which might identify how we can deliver car parking for the public and for the staff, and identify which of those options is both affordable and realistic, and we'll take that forward. But that's absolutely now in the strategy as a result of the feedback from those consultations.
And I mean, it was all about allowing the public to really see the strategy, to see exactly your plans for the hospital, where you'll be taking us over the next 3 years, as you outlined all of those the elements of the strategy for the public. I know people may still have some suggestions, but it would be better for you to see so that then you could offer suggestions. And that's why we did the public town hall, because it's all about accountability, public accountability, sharing with the public, and that has really been your focus, CEO.
Absolutely. I mean, it's their hospital. They fund this hospital, it's their hospital, and it's our responsibility to deliver the services that they want in their hospital. So the consultation's really important with the public, but equally important with the staff who work there and deliver the services. So we're very keen to identify what staff and what the public want and take that feedback, and not just with the strategy. Everything we do is all about trying to do this in a consultative way, to understand individuals and groups' thoughts and ideas, and see how we can best accommodate those. Not always will we be able to accommodate those, but I always say if we don't hear it, we might not know about it.
Yeah.
So always share with us your feedback and let us know what it is you're looking for from your hospital.
Yeah. Remember, you can call us here on the Pulse Radio show, 434-1007 or 434-1070. You can also send us a WhatsApp at 434-1007. I remember a highlight at the public town hall. People were very excited about it, hearing about the health information system. that is one of the game changers which will come on stream in the next couple years, where we will be able to better analyze not only what's happening in our hospital, follow the trends, monitor the trends with our patients, but allow patients to take better and greater responsibility of their health care generally.
Absolutely. And we had on this show previously Miss Bob, who's leading that particular programme of work, and also she provided that information at the public town hall. But in summary, that health information system will be a spine of information for us to use at the hospital. Not only for real-time treatments when the doctors are seeing the patients, they can pull up immediately all the previous information, tests, diagnostics already done to help inform them to make a faster clinical decision and to avoid requesting repeated tests or diagnostics that are not required because we have that information. But also collecting that data allows us to track how well are we doing. It allows us to track in real time where the pinch points and the challenges are, so we can react to evidence-based challenges rather than perceptions or ideas. We think there's an issue here. We'll have the real data to help us identify that. For the patients, they will be able to see their own health record eventually through a patient portal or a health wallet. Eventually we'll build that into the system so they can see their own health records. They can check and confirm if there's errors on those health records, which is really important, data quality. At the moment, I guess what's recorded in the records, they don't necessarily get a chance to have a say. That's not correct, and therefore there may be some challenges or errors within there. But allowing them to feed back on their own record does improve our data quality. It'll allow them to see their past and future appointments, book appointments, change appointments. All this can be done online. But we're also very conscious that not everybody is technical and not everybody can do things online. And whilst we encourage family members to support those who are less able to manage the IT, there's always going to be the services for those who choose not to use the IT and to ring up and contact directly the outpatient clinics or the patient care coordinators.
Yes, we do have a call on the line. Welcome to the Pulse Radio Show. Merry Christmas. Hope you're having some happy holidays. How can we help?
Good morning, Shane. Thank you for answering. My husband goes to the neurological clinic. He had an appointment for November 11th. Now his appointment has been set to March of 2025. Now I have to have medication for him all the time. He has Parkinson's disease.
Right.
And each time I get a prescription now, it just says no more. There are no refills. That is very troubling for me.
Okay, so I'll give you a couple numbers to call
Right,
to find out what is happening there. The first one is 536-4800.
536-4800. 4800.
Yes, that's our patient advice and liaison service. They have extended their hours during this time of year, so you can call anytime, even now when you come off of this call with us. So call that number and explain to them the situation, your concern about the appointment, and find out why it has been pushed back.
All right.
And let them help to give you some direction.
All right.
And as far as the medication is concerned,
Yes.
please, it would be best if you get that medication delivered to you.
Yes, that is what is normally done.
Good. So you have that 536-4804.
Yes.
That you can contact them and you can make a query there. There's
Yes.
one other thing that I'll advise you to do is to leave your number when you go. Don't go off the line. The producer will take your contact details so that we can investigate what is happening. You just leave the name, your husband's name, and of course you are the next of kin.
Yes.
So leave your name as well and your contact details so that we can find out what would have happened and why the appointment would have been pushed back.
All right. Thank you very much. I'm grateful for this.
You are very, very welcome.
right.
Happy holidays, and we're really wishing all the best for you and your family, and we really want that to...
And the same to you. Thank you very much.
You enjoy the season, please. Thank you very much for calling and sharing your concern. And this is what we want. We want our listeners here, and that's what we have been promoting during the time here on the Pulse Radio Show. Please call, share your concerns, ask your questions, give us that opportunity to respond and to take action on your behalf. It's all about a caring community, caring for our community. That has been the slogan for our 60th anniversary celebrations. We continue to celebrate into next year, but we also want to celebrate our patients by giving them an improvement in our service delivery, which is also a main focus, one of the main focuses really, of the 2025 to 2028 strategy. So you heard the caller there asking about medication, and as we approach the holiday season, the hospital's medication delivery service will be suspended only from Christmas Eve, so from December 24th to Thursday, December the 26th. So those are 3 days. So we want you to help plan ahead. We want to help you plan ahead, and that's why we encourage you to submit your medication delivery request no later than Thursday, December 19th, 2024. So that's later this week. So please get in those requests before Thursday or on Thursday, and this will ensure that you get your delivery by Monday, December the 23rd. And this is for your convenience. Please use our extended operating hours for the medication delivery service, which is now online up to 5 p.m. and you can call 536-4804 between today, Monday, December 16th, right up to Thursday, December the 19th, to put in your orders so that we can get them to you before Christmas Eve and you can have a Merry Christmas.
And the caller raised a good point there. So the caller's telling us that the appointment's been pushed back and that there's some challenges in relation to the medications, and you've rightly given the caller the right contacts to go to and check what's happening so she can get the support that she needs for her husband. But imagine if we had that health information system live now, we'd be able to identify that immediately, and hopefully we'd be able to start setting up the algorithms to identify concerns before they actually happen. At the moment, we're kind of reacting.
Yeah.
So we're reacting. Something will happen and we'll find out what's happened and we'll react to it. Sometimes from the staff will tell us there's a concern or a challenge here, and we react to that concern or challenge. Sometimes the public will call in and say something's happened to my appointment, and we react to it. And when we're reacting to it, we're having to go manually check and see what's happened, which takes time to go and do that, to try and track the patient's notes and find out what's happened. In the future, hopefully we'll be getting alerts identifying there's a concern, a risk with a particular clinic for whatever reason, identifying what that alert is, or that the waiting times are growing and we might need to put into place waiting list initiatives, and we can respond to that before the issues come to fruition.
Being proactive.
But also we'll be able to immediately respond, because we'll be able to immediately see what's happening, as opposed to trying to track down the files, track down the individuals. We'll be able to immediately see what happened with the individual patient, what's happening with the waiting times and the waiting numbers for any particular clinic, whether there's been additional cancellations or some other challenges going on. This will be alerting this to us immediately, and I think that's the benefit of getting this health information system into place, so we can be more proactive and less reactive.
Sweet. And I think that our public will definitely appreciate a more proactive approach from their Queen Elizabeth Hospital. We have another caller here on the line. Happy holidays. How can we help?
Peace be unto you and to your distinguished guests and to CBC and all listeners. Same to you.
Okay.
A blessed morning, and I just called to wish the QEH, the staff, everyone from top to bottom, directors, auxiliary staff, everyone, a blessed Christmas, and to your guest, the gentleman,
The CEO.
I am hoping for the best. I hope and pray that next year will be better than before, and that what you all want to accomplish could accomplish, because they always say a healthy nation is a prosperous nation, and if we don't have health, nothing cannot work. So I just hope that all the clicks that we had before, things would change in 2025 for the better. That is what I would like.
We support.
And as you see over there, as I told you, Sean, I couldn't come to the I don't have any transportation, but he wasn't there. Dr. Ford wants a good morning to Dr. Ford and to my doctor, Dr. Gill, and Dr. Bernstein, and all those who look after us. I want to say to the gentlemen, there's something that I would like to happen. Their families, you have to visit each day, guys, in the afternoon or evenings. But I would like to see if there's families who would come and help look after their relatives or friends. And I would like that you all could sit down and consider about that. For those persons who want to come to help look after the family, feed them, look after them, let us be able to do it. That is my plea.
Indeed. And we thank you for sharing that right here with us on the Pulse Radio Show. I mean, it is Christmas, and we really hope that as far as those elderly in our hospital, that their families, come and collect them and get that assistance in understanding how to better care for those loved ones.
I think there's a great point there too about families supporting the patients when they leave the hospital, but also about families being able to better support their families whilst they're in the hospital. And we are looking at a way that families and even volunteers can come in and provide that additional support to patients in the hospital. And feeding's a great example, because we don't really want to take the nurses, the clinically trained professionals, away from providing clinical services to do the feeding. And what would really be helpful is if we could get volunteers and family members to support the feeding of the patients. A lot of patients are fed at the same time. It puts a challenge onto the ward to ensure that the patients are fed and supported. So we are having a look at how we can do more with that, engaging families and engaging volunteers. So thank you, caller, for that excellent comment.
Yeah, we do have about 1826 people that we are caring for, that we're hoping to get out of hospital, get them discharged back with their families. Our social workers have been working around the clock trying to ensure that we make these connections, and it is Christmas, so if you don't need to be in hospital and you should be home with your families, that's where you should be. We're trying to make those connections so that those individuals can have those moments with their loved ones and get some advice on how to better care for them.
And if they need clinical support, to be supported by our transitional care team.
Yeah.
So they will support patients back in the home who need some interim support, some step down support from the hospital. They will provide that transitional support to help the families ensure that their loved ones have still been taken care of despite being discharged from the hospital.
Transitional community care program. Alan and his team are working in the community as well. That's Alan Worrell. He is the assistant manager with the program. So we will try to, of course, and his team will try to, of course, help those in the community when they return from hospital, when they are discharged, so that we can keep them out of A&E, so that A&E can deal with those critically ill patients. We have another caller. Welcome to the show. How can we assist?
Good morning, Shane.
Good morning.
Yes, and good morning to the director.
Happy holidays.
That's
the
CEO. New name, I did work with James Williams at the time that he was called director. But I'm looking at some areas. I'm hearing patients say that sometimes they can't get medicine and stuff like that. But before I go on, I would like persons to recognize that QEH is one of the top and best hospitals in the Caribbean. We have places where patients can be seen for free, but when it comes to medication and tests, as poor as they are, they have to find that money in order to pay. I'm not saying that we have to, but I do not like people dragging us down as though as if we're the worst and we are the best. Now, I would like to make a suggestion. We have a lot of persons that from Europe that would have come to QEH before, and a lot of them would have, we may say we are not in that position, but some of them make contributions to the hospital. And I remember C7 and C8, they were looked after, like things to upgrade for these patients, those young ones. First flat screen television I saw came from those persons and stuff like that. And we need to ask Barbadians that can't afford to help out QEH. It's not everything that a government can do. And patient care, medicine, everything is so expensive all over the world, and our hospital numbers are increasing. Before it was 24 beds to one ward. Now it has gone beyond that. There's so many illnesses that are wrong. And so the numbers are increasing, and the budget, because there's constraints. The hospital will like probably double the amount that they get, but it's not possible because there are other areas within Barbados that need that help. And if you could come up with a fund that you can make a contribution to, or I remember years ago they had something near the hospital sweepstake where like tickets. It wasn't exactly how you got the lotteries we have, but it was similar, where persons can buy a ticket. Ticket will be for a period of time, and you make that contribution. All of those little things can improve the standard of that institution that I brag wherever I go in the world. It's one of the best. And give it back that reputation. It doesn't make sense be condemning it, and people on the outside laughing at us and want to come down to Barbados to get that medical attention based on what they know. But our people are dragging it down. Would you think that would be a good idea if we could go about and have these little things like the Maria Holder inclusive, have QEH inclusive, where that we can get that help? It is not everything that any government, any part of the world can have 100% of a private, public institution to have everything to keep it running.
Yeah, absolutely. So we do have a philanthropy officer and a philanthropy team that's working on how can we collect donations from those who want to donate to the hospital. I think maybe the focus has been on the big teams, the big groups, as you mentioned one then, the Maria Holder Trust, which we're extremely grateful for their contributions. But we have had some discussions about how can the average individual also, if they choose to do so, support and contribute. And we are looking at how we can widen philanthropy to not just accommodate for those big charitable organisations that are very proactive in supporting us, and we're very grateful for that, but how can the individuals get involved in also choosing how to support the Queen Elizabeth Hospital? So there'll be more on that coming out probably early next year from our philanthropy team about how can individuals do that. You mentioned something about a sweepstake. Just explain that.
Do you mean like a raffle?
It was a kind of, I think it was back in the 70s, and it did not last too long because, as I said again, our people believe that everything that goes to the institution must come from the treasury, that funds. And they didn't say at that time that it was necessary because the numbers were not, we didn't have so many illnesses. We didn't have HIV, we didn't have this, we didn't have that. And sometimes you might find 4 or 5 patients on a ward of 24, but now it's overcrowded because of the increased numbers, not only here, but all over the world. And we need to come up with something like that. Had not for, I don't know, probably would see the file where this guy was from France, Marvin McCall, I think that was his name. And he was a patient there shortly as a visitor here, and he leave a portion of his estate. And that's how we come about, and we had then the ultrasound and all these different things, the different systems that we have here now. It might have been more difficult because most of our revenue at the time was spent on radiotherapy. I think the cheapest piece of equipment was nearly $2 million at the time. I believe it's more now. So these persons, these were not Caribbean persons, but from Europe, and they made contributions. And what I believe we can do, we can reach out to Barbadians who gone in other places like in the UK, the USA, Canada, and so on, and reach out to them to give back something to help this institution, because it may have to come back here. We need to reach out to them, hear what they have to say, what they can do for us. And I think, and when it comes to like bandages and those little things, that this isn't everything we have to buy. There's so many places out there, that people out there who told me they are willing to, they call the hospital, but they never got that return. They are willing that they can send to Barbados hundreds, because it's cheaper in those areas, but they not get the response from the administration, and that's the problem. We need to, when the persons call and want to make contributions, then put it to one of the administrators then if they don't want to take that responsibility. But persons are willing to help, and I can tell you for sure, the persons in London, Barbadians who have gone there, and I was down there at the time, and even persons who come here are not Barbadians, were willing to assist but did not get any response.
That's excellent. That's excellent to hear this from you, and I will take this back into our philanthropy manager. And one of the things, as you're speaking, and I love these kind of engagements when you start to hear other people's views. Maybe what we also need to do in our philanthropy committee is involve more people like yourself who can give these ideas and suggestions directly to that philanthropy committee, and we can take that forward. So you're absolutely right. There's ways we can increase philanthropy and allow people who haven't got lots of money to donate but still feel they'd like to donate. But I'd also just like to remind the listeners that we have just received 130 million Barbados dollars of new equipment, or funding for new equipment. So the government have released funds to us, so that will allow us to replace some of the aging equipment. But at the same time, there's always the opportunity to gather more where we can, and the government's always going to be limited to how it can fund the hospital, and we always will look at ways of attracting finances outside the government revenue streams. So whilst we're being well supported with the $130 million of new equipment, we still absolutely will seek how we can increase our philanthropy efforts at the hospital.
We would definitely need more because, as I said, technology is changing, and some of the things that the hospital depended on before, some of them are obsolete. You have more and more new things coming on that could help patients. I've seen it when I was in England here, that we are so far behind. And so therefore we cannot depend on one government, because it is not only QEH. We have so many polyclinics, we have other hospitals, and we need to get persons involved. It is not, if 2,000 persons put $100, it is more than if one individual do it. And I'm saying, if the hospital have that kind of facility where persons could come and make donations directly to the accounts department, and they could call it the hospital amenities fee.
Yeah, our accounts department and really our finances will really appreciate that kind of injection, so that we can do more for our patients. Our philanthropy team, mainly Gay Howell, she will be educating the public going into the new year about how we can get those individual donations. So many people have been kind to us throughout the year. I can think of some off of the top of my head. Biba in helping us in the artificial kidney unit. The Barbados Canada Foundation, you mentioned Canada there, they have been good to us. We have our friends in the diaspora in New York as well, and Miami. They have been doing so much work, and I know SOS, the Clara Lionel Foundation. We have so many great partnerships happening, and I'm pretty sure that as we go into 2025, these partnerships will grow, and the teams will continue to work with Gay in terms of getting more equipment and getting more of what we need into our hospital. But we thank you for that suggestion. We'll definitely take it on board. We'll share it with our philanthropy officer, Gay Howell. You need to get familiar with that name, and I know in the new year you will get familiar with her face as well, because she will be the point person to drive philanthropy in the new year. But again, we thank you, caller, for sharing that message with us as we celebrate our 60th anniversary, and we are in the holidays season. So that is your spirit of giving a great suggestion to us here on the Pulse Radio Show. We got to take a commercial break. We'll be back in a few. We'll be talking a bit more about the 2025 to 2028 strategy and what's to come here at your hospital.
For all your medical supply needs, visit MedSafe Medical Supplies Limited. We offer a wide range of products including wheelchairs, walkers, canes, crutches, blood pressure machines, stethoscopes, and so much more. Conveniently located on Gemmett's Lane, just a 2-minute walk from the Queen Elizabeth Hospital. And for your convenience, we deliver free to the QEH. Open Monday to Saturday, 8:30 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Call us at 624-7542. MedSafe Medical Supplies Limited, your trusted source for medical essentials.
Shane Sealy with you, Communications Specialist at the Queen Elizabeth Hospital, alongside the Chief Executive Officer, Mr. Neil Clark, as we continue to share the goodies and the gifts of service coming out of the 2025 to 2028 strategy. So we spent 11 weeks, well 10 before this, many of our directors coming on, sharing their role in the 2025 strategy and what you'll see them responsible for in terms of execution. So it's all about what happens next. We have about 16 more days in the year, and we really want to enjoy the holidays. But at the hospital, we are working hard to really look at the implementation strategy. So CEO, what happens next? We have the strategy, the words, the outline, and it's all about those next steps.
So we're currently finalising the strategy, following the consultations and the feedback we've had from internal and the public. We're finalising that strategy, and that should be finalised probably by the end of this year. So it's very close to being final, end of this year, very early in January next year, with the aim of publishing that strategy in January, the back end of January, after our management board meeting signs that off. We hope to publish that at the end of January. In that strategy, I think, and we're just finalising it, I think there's 41 objectives and 129 initiatives now within that strategy. And these objectives are to be led by our directors, and as you said, Shane, they've been on the radio show talking about their objectives and what they're going to do. So those objectives will be led by our directors, and that's the Chief Operating Officer, the Director of Medical Services, the Director of Nursing Services, the Director of Clinical and Diagnostic Services, the Director of Finance, the Director of HR, the Director of Engineering Services, and the Director of Support Services. So I'm not alone in delivering this strategy. 8 directors to spread across between them those 41 objectives and 129 initiatives. These objectives then will become personal objectives for those directors, and that will cascade to become departmental and personal objectives for the staff within the organisation, which helps clarify accountability and responsibility. So who is responsible for what, and what are we doing? And if what we're doing isn't linking back to that strategy, then we have to question, was either the strategy wrong, or is what we're doing not the right thing? Because the priority is clearly to deliver the balanced scorecard, which says how well are we doing, and to deliver the strategy, which says where do we want to get to in the next 3 years. So for each of those objectives there will be an implementation plan, and we have to set up the system which will track and implement those, because I think in the past maybe we've wrote plans but I haven't necessarily seen full delivery of those plans, and I'm very keen that we have a system which does allow us to carefully and closely track how are we progressing against each of those objectives, and how have we prioritised them, and what's the timelines for each one. They won't all happen in the first year, but we need to make sure that we've got plans for them all over the next 3 years. Some of the obvious priorities for year 1 of the strategy is the A&E waiting times, because we know from the public and from the data that people are sometimes waiting too long in the A&E department. And I've spoken before that this is a complex challenge, because a delay in the A&E could be as a result of any other delays anywhere else in the whole of the healthcare system, and that could be delays in being able to access community beds, delays in diagnostics, delays in our inpatient wards. Anything that's delaying the system always creates that bottleneck in the A&E. So that's a big one, but it's a really important one, because sometimes patients have waited too long in the A&E department, and we need to address that. We also need to address the quality aspect and a new quality framework which will outline how we manage complaints, how we learn from mistakes, and how we preempt mistakes and learn from them before they even happen. And that's what we call a near miss. How can we identify that? And that will be done by audits, ward-based audits, and reporting. So there's a piece of work we're doing to identify a new way of delivering and monitoring the quality services that we provide within the hospital. We've got to tackle some of the procurement challenges. We know that sometimes we've run out of stock, which has caused challenges in the delivery of the services, so we have to put a lot of effort into tackling some of those procurement challenges. And we've just recently finished the implementation of our inventory management system that we need to get embedded and used correctly to ensure that we avoid such challenges going forward. And of course, the health information system, which we spoke about on numerous times, and how that will start to transform the way we deliver it. That won't happen overnight. It'll start to come in next year. It'll probably take a good year before it gets in, and then all the different add-ons and different benefits it can give us will start to feed into the remaining years of our strategy. So as you know, Shane, I'm really keen that we do stop talking and we do start doing. There's always a balance between informing the public, who of course fund the hospital, and engaging staff and service delivery. And I think that we've done well with your support and guidance with informing the public, and now we need to increase on engaging with our staff and delivering some of these objectives that are outlined within the strategy.
Stop talking and start doing. That's
Absolutely.
what we are all about at the hospital. And over the next 3 years, you will see things start to come into shape. And really, as we start to get some of these things in place, you will see that general enhancement and improvement in service delivery at the QEH. We have a few questions here on WhatsApp, and then let's go to the caller who's waiting on the line. Both of us, myself and the CEO, are considered non-medical, but I think we can still answer some of these questions. A patient has been diagnosed with type 2 diabetes and has to be seen by their appointed doctor and the nutritionist as soon as possible, but the date given is February 2025. If it is urgent, why is the wait so long?
So we'd have to have a look again at individual cases, and this is the challenge again, not having the data available immediately. We'd have to go back and have a look. I'm assuming, but we'd need to check this, I wouldn't want to assume and leave somebody at risk. I'm assuming that the doctor's seen it fit that that's an appropriate time for the patient to come in, based on the different numbers of patients that they've got to see. Of course, one of the things we have to do is look at waiting times in general. And some of the waiting times, and we've done some early work on this, some of the waiting times for some of the specialties are too high, and some of the waiting times for some of the specialties are very good. And we need to work out how we balance that, and if that's balancing how we give outpatient clinic time to those with the long waits and how we bring those down. But for the individual case there, I would again suggest, Shane, that the individual contacts the help desk and just make sure that that's a correct waiting time for that particular individual.
536-4800. Please call the patient advice and liaison service. We always ask you to do that so that we can better direct you as far as these appointments are concerned. Another question coming in: is it possible to have patient advocates at our clinics?
Yes, absolutely. And this is what I mentioned before when I talked about the volunteers. And the volunteers and the patient advocates. So there's a piece of work that I've asked our Director of Nursing Services to take a lead on, about how can we work better to support volunteering and patient advocacy within the hospital. And that'll be a balance between our Director of Nursing Services and our patient relations team, but absolutely support those kind of initiatives.
Sweet. Let's go to the phone lines. Good morning, caller. Welcome to the Pulse Radio Show. How can we assist?
Happy holidays, Shane. I love my cousin Shane Sealy. How you doing, my brother?
So, CEO, we had this gentleman here attend the public town hall. He was there at the front, actually.
Thank you so much. Indeed, all best.
And I found out, it seems like almost everyone in St. Philip. This is the parish of the Far East, where the COO is from as well, our Chief Operations Officer,
right.
Dr. Christine Greenwich, who is on leave right now, enjoying her Christmas. But yeah, it seems like everyone in this parish somehow is connected, is somehow family. It's so weird. I don't know how it happens. I even had a conversation recently at a coffee shop, and two people who only one comes for coffee, the other is served there, and all of a sudden they found out that their grandmothers are sisters, and they're both from St. Philip. So it's crazy how things happen in our easterly parish. How are you doing, man?
Listen, I am glad to be family with the most handsome, most physique healthy person at the hospital in terms of communication, apart from Mr. Neil Clark, of course. But you know, that's another.
We appreciate that, man.
But I take what you're saying, Shane. I really appreciate you. I really appreciate the big up. I thank you so much. We have to heal more and talk less. And in healing more and talking less, we need to have health engagement alignment legislation. And where I see this hospital going based on my two suggestions from the past town hall, and let me thank you so much for putting that on. That was fantastic. I really enjoyed the eye candy there, and I am sure the ladies enjoyed another person called Shane. Anyhow, so we have a particular time at the hospital now where we're seeking for having concierge services or international the international taxi, and that would be my final input for the 2025 to 2028 strategy. Because if you can have a time where you have your ambulances fortified with snacks, fortified with an ability to have, if people need health and they need health care efficiently, they need to get where they need to go based on the new diseases that are going to come, the new pandemics, and we need to get them there very rapidly. What we need to do, Shane, is that we need to help the hospital provide options for them to have healthy staff on the way there so that you can maximize that particular time and money, getting your money in terms of when they actually get there. That, because I heard even that the president of Brazil just had a particular procedure done. He had 2 emergency surgeries, and it's so auspicious that we can send out an international ambulance to him or to them there in Brazil to get them at the best hospital in the world, so that we can have the care here, so that when they go back they can also endeavor to engage in our concierge services based on creating from Cuba and Ghana that those nurses going back there would be ambassadors for this hospital and this Barbados in terms of being giving concierge services to those people over there by running the little errands, getting their medication and so on. It is important that we do that to bolster real hospital and health and financial gain, so that the hospital can really gain financially, benefiting greatly going forward. I really think that would be a great initiative and a great help to the support.
Well, we thank you for the suggestion. You've had some good ones for the entire season, and I really want to wish you all the best during this Christmas season. Enjoy the season, and of course we'll see you next time as we launch season 3 of the Pulse Radio Show. Some great suggestions coming from you as always. So have a great one. Thank you so much for your contribution.
Thanks. God bless. Thank you. Same to you,
and he spoke there about Ghana and Cuba, but I know that we recently welcomed some nurses, a new nursing cohort from Ghana to help bolster our staffing complement and really meet the demand in hospital from A&E right through our wards as well.
Absolutely. So we welcomed those a few weeks back now.
And that's part of the workforce.
That's part of the additional workforce, part of the nearly 300 additional staff that we've got coming in to support healthcare delivery at the Queen Elizabeth Hospital. So we've got those nurses now in place. They're actually working on the wards. As I walk around, I often bump into them, and they're always saying, "Hello, CEO." So they seem to be in place and happy and integrating into the system very well. And I'm sure that they will be good ambassadors if they return to Ghana. But from what we know from the second cohort, many of them chose to stay. They fell in love with Barbados, and they've chosen to stay here and continue supporting the Queen Elizabeth Hospital.
Home away from home.
All the way from home. I mean, we mentioned about international concierge, and that's something that we should think about, clearly. It's something that we should think about, but there's a timing element. I think before I think about that too strongly, I need to think about how we manage to provide the services to those patients here in Barbados. And so we certainly will be thinking about international concierge, but the priority's got to be on the right here, the right now, and the current waiting time challenges for the public patients here in Barbados. When we get that right, absolutely we should be extending our services out to wider areas.
And we do cater to high profile officials very quietly. Of course, your health information is definitely protected by us. It's all about keeping your information private and secure. So the hospital has been doing what it has to do through Miss Cattle there. She's been working hard, which is an extension of the accounts and finance in terms of dealing with those private patients. So as the CEO said, these are things to be considered, but we really want to focus on improving the service for the majority of patients who use it. Those are the average Barbadians who come through the doors daily with their challenge, come through A&E. They go on to our wards. They are in our outpatient clinics as well. We really want to focus on enhancing the services across the board to them. Something else that's happening in the new year, we had a situation, this has been a trend, really a cultural a tradition for the hospital. Patients like to come early
Yes.
for our outpatient clinics.
Yes.
So as early as 6 a.m. or even earlier, patients are at our doors waiting for their appointments, and we really are advising patients going into the new year, and we will send out some communication about it. We really want you to come at the opening hour or for your appointment. So normally doors open at 8 o'clock. We want you to come for that time, and as I said, we'll be sharing that relevant notice to alert you, because we don't want you to be there when there's no one there. That can be a security risk. We have 24-hour security, but the security are doing their job at various points of the hospital. So you come there early, and we really want that you are safe. So it would be better if you come there at 8 a.m. or for your appointment, whatever that time may be, instead of coming 2 or 3 hours before.
And I think there's more work we can do in allowing the public to choose their appointment time. So if they want an early appointment time, they can choose that. And I think that's part of the work we'll be doing with the outpatient scheduling system, which will be part of the health information system, to allow the public to decide what time they want their appointment, as opposed to being given an appointment. If a member of the public has to get dropped off by a family member who's going to work, I understand that they're going to be around the hospital early. So if they could choose the earlier appointments, that would work well for them. And others could maybe choose a later appointment. So there's a little bit about how we bring choice to the public on the times of their appointments. And there's maybe also a little bit we can do in relation to having communal waiting areas where you can wait and maybe grab some healthy juice whilst you're waiting for your appointment, and then move towards the clinic when your appointment time is due. So we're having a look at how we can maybe manage the flow and where we can manage the patients in that sense, so they're not actually in the actual clinic until nearer their appointment time. Often with health information systems and patient portals, for those who are able to use the IT, you can get a WhatsApp of when it's time to move to the appointment. You can register on your phone as you arrive in the hospital so they know you're here, and then you can get a WhatsApp and it'll tell you to move down to the clinic now, and therefore you're not sat or stood outside a clinic waiting. You can be waiting possibly in a better communal space. So we need to have a look at how we can get better communal spaces for those who do have to come in early, and how we can also ensure that they can choose the earliest appointments for themselves.
Yeah, that's a great initiative. Once we can get that on stream, we have a couple callers waiting. Welcome to the Pulse Radio Show, and time is really running out. Time flies fast when I call this having fun, because it's a joy for me, and I know for the CEO it's a priority of getting that outreach to the public and getting the information into your hands so you know how best to navigate your hospital. Welcome, callers to the Pulse Radio Show. How can we help?
Hello, Shane.
Hi, good morning.
You were speaking about time just now. That is what you mean, all appointments or certain appointments?
When I said that we want you to show up at 8 o'clock and not 2 and 3 hours before.
Yeah.
Well, if you have a 1 o'clock appointment, we don't want you at the hospital definitely at 6 o'clock in the morning, thinking that you can be seen earlier, because that won't happen. We try to keep the schedule, but we know sometimes it falls behind. As the CEO explained, going forward, through the health information system and through the patient portal, you'll be able to choose your appointment time. We're not there yet, so it's a work in progress. And in the interim, sometimes we will fall behind. But do not show up at 6 a.m. for appointment that is at 8.
let me say something.
Go ahead.
You coming from the country, right? Not that the person should show up at 6 or whatever, but you coming from the country, you know how it is with buses.
I know how it is with traffic too.
Huh?
I know how it is with traffic too.
Right, you hear the complaints.
Mm-hmm.
So you know when you say A, you have to say B. The person probably coming to make sure that they, because you know sometimes if you miss the appointment, you gotta wait near a whole year sometimes before you could get another appointment. So the person you must be lenient, and those who coming far from in the country where there is scarcity, you scarcely get any transportation, and they come and they feel comfortable. Well, I know they might not, they should be taking the seats of the morning people or whatever, you know, but to sit around where you know you're at the hospital and you're ready to get your appointment. So think about it. The person might not be coming because they want to come early, but because of transportation.
Yeah.
I use, when I was working, my time is 8 o'clock, and I leave here at 6 o'clock. That the criminals know when I leave, and I break my house 3 times. Huh? And then sometimes I was always attending the hospital, and sometimes I go into work. I hurrying to get to work, and I forgetting my appointment. The appointment bag walking in the car with me all the time, you know, in my bag.
Yeah.
So when I get to work, I look at so Lord, I have an appointment. You know, when I go to the EH and I tell her, she tell me I should tell her everything. Although I get in there at 6 o'clock, I sit down outside at 6 o'clock. My time is 8 o'clock.
Right.
And I sit down at 8 o'clock. Plus, I was working with the HR and them. So if I get in at 8 o'clock and you go have a meeting at 8 o'clock, well, I cannot clean. So I would go early that I could take my time and thoroughly clean. Yeah. But I still didn't get any time.
And it's all about communication. So I will tell you, anyone in those situations, to please call the patient advice and liaison service a day or two in advance, so that some adjustment or some arrangement can be made to accommodate you, to better accommodate you. Remember that number I always repeat, 536-4800. You call that and let us try to work out something for you, so that you know you can get your appointment, so that you can be seen by our doctors and nurses. So we'll work on that, but we do take your suggestion, and we will definitely deliberate on that when we get back to the hospital. We had one more caller, but that caller is off the line now, and we thank all of you for sharing with us during these 11 weeks on the Pulse Radio Show. CEO, in terms of that caller explaining her situation, of course we're not trying to punish anyone who may forget their appointment, or maybe they're not able to get there on time, or they get there very early.
No, of course not. We have to work around the public, but we have to make it easier for the public to access the services. So if we can allow the public to choose the times which best suit them, that's one way of doing it. If we can create more communal spaces where they can wait rather than having to wait in the actual clinic space, causing a kind of gridlock within the clinic space, that's also great. If we can send automatic reminders by SMS or WhatsApp to remind them the day before that your clinic's due, or to click this button saying your clinic's you can't attend, you want to reschedule or you want to cancel, then that's great, because we can find out that somebody's cancelling and we can offer that appointment to somebody else. Last thing we want to have is a cancelled appointment which doesn't get filled by somebody else. That's just wasted capacity that we can never recover again, and that will push out the waiting times, and we've lost that spot. So there's more things that we can do to try and support the patients, and how we can deliver the services around their needs. I've heard and I understand that some patients do have to arrive early because of the buses. Let's allow them to book those early appointments, and those who are coming by car might not want to come early in the rush hour traffic, and they might want to come later. So let's give a little bit of patient choice into this, and see how we can help them choose what works best for them and how that can best fit for us.
Indeed. So as we close the loop on the Pulse Radio Show for 2024, it has been an awesome ride with you, and we thank you, those callers and those who would have WhatsApped us here on the program, for your contributions. Any last words, any reminders from you, CEO?
Only I just want to thank everybody for their contributions, for contributing towards our strategy, the strategy for your hospital. I deeply thank you for your contributions, and we're always happy to see ideas and receive comments. A number of people have wrote to me personally with ideas and comments, and it's really appreciated that you communicate with us, because we are there to deliver services for you. So we've spoke a lot this year about the hospital and the strategy. Now we're going to stop speaking about the strategy and get on delivering it. So I just want to say to everybody, thank you for your help, and have that happy, healthy Christmas.
Indeed, as we speak about delivering the service and stopping the talking and getting some work done to improve the service to you. Remember, the medication delivery hotline services, our operating hours have been extended to 5 p.m. from today, Monday, December 16th to Thursday, December 19th. You can contact the medication delivery service at 536-4804 to take advantage of those extended hours. Remember, we'll be temporarily suspending the service from Christmas Eve, Tuesday, December the 24th, to Thursday, December the 26th. That's Boxing Day. And for the blood collection center, remember that we have temporarily changed location until further notice. You can find the National Blood Collecting Center now at 6th Avenue, Belleville, St. Michael. That's the Hospital Belleville Annex, from Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. and on Saturday from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. Please call our PBX 436-6450, extension 6343, to contact the National Blood Collecting Center if you have any questions or queries or concerns. But please give that gift of blood this Christmas. The blood donation services are available at the QEH Belleville Annex. I really want to thank all of you for tuning in to the Pulse Radio Show. We will have a season 3, and we will share with you on our various social media and on our website when that will be and where we are going next. I'm Shane Sealy on behalf of the Chief Executive Officer, Mr. Neil Clark, saying goodbye for now, and please be healthy and be mindful of your health during this Christmas and beyond. Have a happy holiday.
Thank you so much, Shane. The QEH Pulse Radio Show brought to you with the compliments of MedSafe Medical Supplies Limited.
For all your medical supply needs, visit MedSafe Medical Supplies Limited. We offer a wide range of products including wheelchairs, walkers, canes, crutches, blood pressure machines, stethoscopes, and so much more. Conveniently located on Gemmett's Lane, just a 2-minute walk from the Queen Elizabeth Hospital. And for your convenience, we deliver free to the QEH. Open Monday to Saturday, 8:30 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Call us at 624-7542. MedSafe Medical Supplies Limited, your trusted source for medical essentials.